Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Zach Sillygooses Inc., and this is just a little video to let you guys know that we are going to be doing a D&D session on Saturday, which is tomorrow at 11 Pacific Standard Time. Let's see, 1 o'clock Central Standard Time. I think I said it was Eastern in the description of the other videos. I'll go back and fix that after I'm done with this video. Let's see, what, 7 o'clock, I think. Yeah, 7 o'clock Irish/English time, and 8 o'clock Norwegian, and sort of the west coast of Europe-ish time, and you can work out your own time zone out of that, I guess. I'm not sure how many subscribers I have from the Far East and Eastern Europe, but there might be some, I don't know. If so, I'm sorry, I have no idea what time zone you guys are in. You'll have to figure it out yourself. Anyway, so we're going to be playing Dungeons & Dragons. And, yeah, so I'm doing this video to let you guys know about that. I also mentioned it in the Silent Hill videos, but I'm also going to... We're several game sessions in. The party's up to, like, level... I think they're up to level 3? Nearly level 4. And, so yeah, I'm just going to give you a bit of backstory on the story and sort of introduce the characters so that you guys aren't completely lost when we begin. So if you plan on watching the stream, you might want to watch the whole video no matter how long-winded I get. Otherwise, you'll kind of be lost. Anyway, so we got different characters. We got Mary playing... You know Mary, she did the Let's Play together I did of Resident Evil 5 with me. She's playing a half-elf druid. We've also got David, who did Borderlands with me. He's playing a halfling thief. Stalworth, also from Borderlands, is playing a dwarven fighter. And Stein Eric, who's done pretty much every cooperative Let's Play project I've done, is playing a human cleric. I've also invited Phoenix Tsukino, who did Alter Ego with me, the female version of it, to come and watch. She's watched a couple of our D&D sessions before, so she kind of knows what's going on. Anyway, I'm going to give you all a brief recap of the story now, just so you guys kind of know where we're at. Basically, the party's adventuring around, and they're being attacked by bandits, who are looking for weapons and armor, because there's a curse on the land that is breaking all the weapons and armor. Then they find a caravan being led by Thur, a man who travels with a wench in one hand and a sword in the other. And he is going to the ruins of Spellguard to ask the oracle who resides there, Lady Sarahel, how to lift the curse. The party decides to travel with him, and they eventually get to a monastery. They are offered free room and board if they help repair the monastery. And, by the way, at this point you might be noticing some stuff from Pre-Made Adventures. This was the beginning of the campaign where I wasn't really sure. I'd never actually been a DM before, so I decided to do a pre-made campaign to try and ease myself into it. It's about this point I got bored with that, and I decided, the hell with it, and I did my own thing. So they are offered free room and board if they help repair it. David says no, so I throw wolves at him until he has to climb over the wall, barely escaping with his life. He climbs down the other side, is immediately assaulted by a member of the Flaming Fist. Well, not assaulted, but you get the idea. He's escorted back to the room with the others. By the way, I was kind of disappointed. Like, that's where the whole Flaming Fist thing came from at the beginning of one of the Dungeons & Dragons... at the beginning of one of the Silent Hill videos I did. No one actually knew the game that I had stolen that from. I just needed a mercenary group, and the first one that occurred to me was the Flaming Fist. Because I had been playing Baldur's Gate. I mean, really? You guys never played Baldur's Gate? Seriously? Like, no one knew the video game I was talking about. They're like, what? Flaming Fist? Who the hell are they? Ugh. Anyway. So yeah, as he was out there being attacked by wolves, Mary and Stalworth had heard something strange. So they went out to investigate. They ran into a member of the Flaming Fist, who they immediately murdered. Stallworth continues to claim it was in self-defense, but that doesn't really hold up when, as I recall, he threw the first blow. Anyway, they murder him, and yeah, they all sort of scurry back to their room after that. The monastery is put into lockdown because of the, murder. Everyone immediately assumes it was David, who had already refused to help the monastery and had been seen sneaking in. Yeah, so they start a manhunt for David. Everyone spreads out to sort of investigate to see who the real killers are. Well, actually, they are the real killers. Sorry, I was putting too much of a goodness and light spin on things. They're actually going around looking for someone to frame, literally. They flat out admit it. Stallworth is, as soon as he's apprised on the situation about the manhunt and all that, he just says, well, we gotta find someone to frame. Well, actually, that was right after they debated just handing over David. And I had to come up with rules on how long you could be disemboweled before your party could rescue you and start using healing magic on you. It was a whole thing. Anyway, so yeah, they're looking around for someone to frame, and Mary stumbles upon a hidden altar to the dark god of conquest, Bane, in the basement. David and Stein-Erik discover that Thur had been, the guy who had taken them there in the caravan, had been murdered. And Stallworth goes up to Yannick's room, the leader of the monastery, and he discovers that he is the high priest of this cult to Bane. So he takes the evidence, and in a show of a little bit of naivete, he goes to report this to the proper authorities, namely the Flaming Fist, only to find that they are in on it. He fights them off quite well, actually, for a while. I was very impressed. He kills like 3 or 4 guys when they're all ganging up on him, which is pretty impressive. He is finally knocked out by the leader of the Flaming Fist after Yannick shows up with some reinforcements. So they drag him down to the altar to be sacrificed. David sees him, he follows him, so everyone meets up at the altar. Yannick is about to sacrifice him when David scores a critical hit and shoves an arrow right through the guy's eyeball. Which is kind of brutal, but, it's what you have to do when he's about to sacrifice your buddy, I guess. So a fight breaks out. They fight off the Flaming Fist members. Stallworth duels the leader of this particular division of the Flaming Fist and defeats him. And everyone goes on to Loudwater to continue their quest towards Spellguard. Now, unfortunately, without Thur. So they get to Loudwater. They stock up. They had gotten in a little side quest that wasn't really that important to the story, so I didn't mention it. They had killed a dragon, and they had insisted that they could cut off his scales and take them with them. So at this point, I threw in an armor maker that'd be willing to make them dragon scale armor. Yeah, and they get it for free because Stallworth kinda screws her, even though she's like 300 pounds. And I made this clear. He still wanted to screw her. That's just kind of messed up, but we'll go beyond that, Anyway, he got his free suit of armor out of it, and, yeah, so they all move on to the Forest of Waterford. They all get lost because the barrier between the real world and the Fey realm is very, very weak in the Forest of Waterford. So they all get lost. David runs around being chased by what he thinks is a basilisk, which actually turns out to be Stein-Erik. Yeah, that was kind of odd. They run into more members of the Flaming Fist who are all turned to stone by the basilisk, and because there is an actual one there, but anyway. They all eventually make it out to the Fey version of the town of Loudwater. They find that Stallworth's lovemaking somehow in an alternate universe created a new life form. There were reasons why my actual adventure that I had prepared couldn't be played that session. So I had to improvise the entire session that day. And things got weird. Like when Stallworth had a child in an alternate dimension. That was weird. accept it, and things go a lot quicker. So yeah, they find out about that. David refuses to help it, but Mary feeds it and all that, changes its diapers, or I don't know. Takes care of it basically for a little while. She got a cloak of resistance out of it because the Fae people thought she was nice to a baby, so they gave us. I don't know. Improvised, okay? Anyway, eventually they all make it back to the monastery and are confronted by the ghost of Yannick, who is wandering the monastery in the Fae realm. I was improvising that day. Just go with it. It'll be easier. Anyway, so they go around, they bring a bunch of his stuff to him, so supposedly he can move on to the underworld, the afterlife, whatever you want to call it. Turns out he was tricking them. The items they bring him just give him power to attack them. And they fight him, and it's David who kills him again, and ironically enough, threw an arrow to his other eyeball. And that kills his ghost, even though the ghost is already dead. Whatever. So eventually they all meet up back. They all get back to the forest. They all pass through, and they run into Stallworth, who had actually made it through the forest fine on his own, and was waiting for them, I guess. As that was going on, though, Stallworth had a little adventure of his own when he heard a cry from a nubile young woman, and he went to check it out and found her being menaced by 2 kobolds, which he easily dispatched. And the fair maiden then offers, she says she has no gold, but she would be willing to reward him with a kiss. Any hardened Dungeons & Dragons player would immediately know that anytime the Dungeon Master includes a female NPC who shows the slightest bit of sexual interest in the player, it's a trap. It just will always be a trap. Always. So yeah, she kissed him, and he felt charged by it. Yeah, so after that, the party all meets up. They all get to Spellguard. They start to explore it. They're confronted by the ghostly owner of the place, who then says the Lady Sarahel is his, and he disappears. You know, the whole bit. They explore around, find some magical equipment, including a magical ring, which they could not identify, which, again, you can tell these guys haven't really played much D&D before, because, I don't know, at least for me, if you can't identify, if it's something's really hard to identify, that just immediately sends up red flags. It's either a really good item, or there's a reason the DM doesn't want you to be able to identify it until after you put it on. So David volunteers to put it on. Well, actually they all wanted to put it on, which is kind of surprising. Something's going on back there. Anyway. Give me a second. I'm going to pause the recording because someone's calling me. People should have more consideration than calling when you're doing a update video detailing the story of your D&D campaign. Anyway. So, where was I? Let's see. Ring. Everyone wants to put it on. David says that he wants to put it on the loudest, and as you can tell, he'd already kind of been a douchebag to everyone, like by not wanting to go help out the monastery and refusing to help Stallworth's baby. So I said that, yeah, you should all give it to him. And they do, and he puts it on, and it turns out to be a cursed ring of fumbling. So I nerf his dexterity and his 2-hit thing. I don't know what they call it in 4th edition. I nerf his Thaco. And, yeah, he wasn't too happy about that. But, you know, when you refuse to help Stallworth's baby, that's just the kind of karma, backlash you gotta expect, you know. Speaking of Stallworth, as they're exploring, they also run across a werewolf, and the werewolf does bite Stallworth, and I don't know, in 4th edition, I'm not sure, I didn't see any rules for lycanthropy, so I had to go back and I had to pull out my, like, advanced Dungeons & Dragons rulebook in order to find out. They just have this really lame disease in 4th edition, or at least in the Essentials book that I was looking through. So I had to go back to my AD&D book and look it up, and apparently Stallworth has a 1 in 100 chance of being cursed with lycanthropy. I made the roll, and everyone wanted to be a werewolf until I detailed what it actually meant, namely you just go crazy on the I think I just said full moon. It's actually full moon, night before full moon, and night after full moon. I get control of your character, and I get to wreak havoc with it. They weren't too keen on it after that, but there is a 1 in 100 chance Stallworth is now a werewolf. I'm the only person who saw the roll, and I'm not telling anyone. Well, at least not until the night before the full moon, which is coming 3 days after where we are right now. Like, when you pick up on the live stream, Stallworth's got 2 nights where he'll be fine, and then on the 3rd night after that, he'll either turn into a werewolf or he won't. So yeah. Anyway, so they continue to explore. They find the door they need to get into is locked, so they go down to the catacombs to find the key, and they run across the woman who Stallworth was Frenching earlier. Turns out she's a succubus. Go figure. She offers them the key if they sign a contract in blood with her, which says that one of them, only one of them needs to sign it, which says that they will do an unspecified favor for her at some point in the future, or their soul will be dragged down into the 9 hells. Stallworth surprisingly decides to sign it. Steineric was also willing to sign it, but in the end I said Stallworth had better just do it, considering that he's, you know, just like a regular fighter. And Steineric is a lawful good cleric. I'm just saying, maybe the lawful good cleric too, I think it was, what, the god Bahamut, probably wouldn't be signing any contracts with creatures from the 9 hells. I'm just throwing that out there, you know. Anyway, so Stallworth signs a contract. Later on, everyone asks why he didn't just decide that they should kill her, to which he replies that he didn't think of that, which has kind of surprised me, because every encounter we'd had up to that point, including that with the friendly monks, well, at that point, what they thought were friendly monks, was, can I kill them? So when the succubus is asking him to sign a contract in blood, like fucking Mephistopheles asking Faust, you know, I expected him to try and kill him, but whatever. Actually, I don't really recall if Faust had to sign the contract in blood. I don't know, whenever I think of demon contracts, I just always think of Faust and Mephistopheles. Anyway, enough of that. So, yeah, Stallworth has now kind of signed a contract with a demon, and might be a werewolf, and David is cursed with fumbling. Anyway, so they go up to the top of the tower, and they find the leader of the Wraith, King of Spellguard, and they have a boss fight with him. They win, actually really easily, because Steineric gets, he uses Smite Undead first off, and then immediately follows up with 2 critical hits, which is amazing. So they finish him really easily, actually. After that, they run into a evil party of adventurers. They had run into them outside in the ruins of Spellguard. But they run into him again here. It's a dragonborn fallen paladin. Again, I don't actually think in D&D, or in the 4th edition, I don't think there are any rules for becoming a fallen paladin. So I guess it just goes to show you that I haven't played much 4th edition. I only really got back into it when the Essentials line came out. But yeah, I just like the idea of fallen paladins. So, yeah, they find a dragonborn fallen paladin, a drow cleric to the spider goddess chick Lolith, an evil ranger, and a tiefling warlock. So yeah, basically an evil party of adventurers who already showed outside in the ruins of Spellguard when they fought off a freaking army of kobold that they are way more badass than the actual party that we're following. So they are holding an orb, which is what binds Lady Sarahel to this plane of existence. Lady Sarahel appears and begs them to destroy the orb because the evil party's in league with demons and such, and she'll be forced to serve evil. you know, they get a big morality choice where the evil party says, if you let us go, we'll let you ask your question, and then we'll make Lady Sarahel answer it. Or you can destroy it and not know the answer to your question. So they all put in their 2 cents. David comes down. David has to make the decision because he's the one with the bow and arrow that can reach the orb. And in a surprising act of nobility, he destroys it, which kind of pisses off the evil party. So they open up a dimension door and send them all to the Shadow Realm. While they're there, they run across a sort of a character class I just kind of, or not a character class, but a character race I just kind of made up, sort of a Shadow Eladrin, basically. Yeah, because, like, the Eladrin were all in the Fey realm. Some of them went to the regular world and became elves. Some of them stayed there. Some of them went to the Underdark and became Drow. Some of them stayed there and remained Eladrin. And a few of them went into the Shadow Realm and became my special Shadow Eladrin class. Not class, race. Anyway, so they run into him and his were-feline girlfriend. Because, you know, might as well throw in like a cat girl straight out of a hentai, right? So, yeah, they run into him, and they're about to fight him till he pulls out his +6 Vorpal longsword, at which point they all run away. And they eventually make it to a city of the dead, and are surrounded by the ghosts of all of the Flaming Fist members that they have killed up to this point, led by the guy that Stallworth had to duel back in the monastery. And that was the to-be-continued point we left off at in our previous game session this last weekend. So that's where we're going to be picking up tomorrow. So this has been kind of a long-winded explanation of it, but this has been taking place over the course of several sessions, and I've actually cut out quite a bit of stuff. But yeah, this has been several sessions long, and yeah. So this is just to sort of get you up to date on what's going on, so you'll know what's going on when we get going. So yeah, that's going to be tomorrow. That is Saturday, starting at 11 Pacific time, 1 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock in the evening Irish, and 8 o'clock in the evening Norwegian. So yeah, I hope to see you guys there, and yeah, I think that's just about it. We might be starting, we probably won't, if you have to turn up late, you'll probably miss us doing our, like, getting set up, you know, like the camera setup, because I've never streamed a D&D campaign before and stuff, but yeah, so don't worry if you're going to show up a little bit late, because you probably won't miss too much. Anyway, so yeah, that's been it for this little update video. So I hope to see you guys there. Anyway, kiss kiss. Done pretty much every cooperative Let's Play project I've done is playing a human cleric. I've also invited Phoenix Tsukino, who did Alter Ego with me, the female version of it, to come and watch. She's watched a couple of our D&D sessions before, so she kind of knows what's going on. Anyway, I'm going to give you all a brief recap of the story now, just so you guys kind of know where we're at. Basically, the party's adventuring around, and they're being attacked by bandits, who are looking for weapons and armor, because there's a curse on the land that is breaking all the weapons and armor. Then they find a caravan being led by Thur, a man who travels with a wench in one hand and a sword in the other. And he is going to the ruins of Spellguard to ask the oracle who resides there, Lady Sarahel, how to lift the curse. The party decides to travel with him, and they eventually get to a monastery. They are offered free room and board if they help repair the monastery. And, by the way, at this point you might be noticing some stuff from Pre-Made Adventures. This was the beginning of the campaign where I wasn't really sure. I'd never actually been a DM before, so I decided to do a pre-made campaign to try and ease myself into it. It's about this point I got bored with that, and I decided the hell with it, and I did my own thing. So, subscribers I have from the Far East and Eastern Europe, but there might be some, I don't know. If so, I'm sorry, I have no idea what time zone you guys are in. You'll have to figure it out yourself. Anyway, so we're going to be playing Dungeons and Dragons. And yeah, so I'm doing this video to let you guys know about that. I also mentioned it in the Silent Hill videos, but I'm also gonna, we're several game sessions in. The party's up to like level, I think they're up to level 3? Nearly level 4. And so yeah, I'm just gonna give you a bit of backstory on the story and sort of introduce the characters so that you guys aren't completely lost when we begin. So if you plan on watching... Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Zach Silly Gooses Inc., and this is just a little video to let you guys know that we are going to be doing a D&D session on Saturday, which is tomorrow at 11 Pacific Standard Time, let's see, 1 o'clock Central Standard Time. I think I said it was Eastern in the description of the other videos. I'll go back and fix that after I'm done with this video. Let's see, what, 7 o'clock, I think. Yeah, 7 o'clock Irish/English time, and 8 o'clock Norwegian, and sort of the west coast of Europe-ish time, and you can work out your own time zone out of that, I guess. I'm not sure how many watching the stream. You might want to watch the whole video no matter how long-winded I get. Otherwise, you'll kind of be lost. Anyway, so we got different characters. We got Mary playing, you know Mary, she did the Let's Play together I did of Resident Evil 5 with me. She's playing a half-elf druid. We've also got David, who did Borderlands with me. He's playing a halfling thief. Stalworth, also from Borderlands, is playing a dwarven fighter. And Stein Eric, who's